And all journalists know that there's some things you don't write about and you don't talk about because you'll lose your job. And that's where the control is. And that's why they pay anchormen like Dan Rather $2 million a year. Because he doesn't question them. He knows that if he goes against them, he's going to lose $2 million a year. Do you think a man that looks pretty and sits in front of a TV camera for the 6 o'clock news is worth $2 million a year? No way. I don't care how long he works and I don't care what he does. There is no job worth $2 million a year. That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive? And when the people are asking questions and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world. So that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is. So they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated. So they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets. And they think that's a great accomplishment. And they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy that plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game. It's sad. It's really sad.
That's true. That's true. You got a lot of, our people, all right, that are, distracted, all right? Really, that's what that is. Distracted at, really what's happening. There are certain, laws, all right? There's certain, decrees that's being passed that, impacts a lot of you citizens, all right? And these things are really passed, okay? You see, while you're distracted, okay? And what was, recently, going on, the World Cup football or, soccer, all right? You got, the NFL, all right? The NBA, off season, all right? You see everything that is happening, which a lot of these people are highly tuned into. Okay, not to say that we haven't watched, any of the, soccer games or anything like that, all right? But our main focus, all right, is what the hell is happening throughout the four corners of the earth. The scriptures talk about being sober, being of the day, watching, okay? Watching what's happening. And again, a lot of our people, all right, and also, these, different nations, they're all swiftly taken away and distracted by Esau's, way, all right? And everything in which Esau, Edom is doing right now, okay, these are all different, strategies that have worked in the past, okay? And he's doing the exact same thing again, okay? This is your modern day Roman Empire, okay? Today is your modern day Roman Empire, all right? And again, the people are still distracted, okay? And Esau, he's doing a great job at his what he was created to do. Okay, and that's, to bring forth death and destruction upon the earth, being the hammer of the earth. He's causing great hell. And when people start to question what the hell is going on, all right, especially with the wars, all right, and the rumors of wars, all right, then what happens? Significantly, different, circuses, the bread and circus, all right, is, used as a means to distract you, okay, from really what's happening, all right? Just a couple of months ago, the war, between Israel and Iran and America, okay, you see, that was heavily, spoken of, okay, you see, and there's a lot going on right now, but it's not really spoken of like that, in the media like that, because a lot of these, politicians, a lot of these, newscasters, all right, your athletes, all right, as this, as you just heard, this man just went, and mentioned, a lot of these people are being used, all right, to keep you distracted and not to tell you the truth, okay, because they're getting paid a lot of money, all right. Your, athletes like a LeBron James, all right. A lot of people were recently tuned into like, yo, where is he gonna go, okay? And there's certain, there's also, reasons behind certain things that were pushed on certain dates. Okay. The fact that, he, just recently announced that he's going to the Philadelphia 76ers on a Friday. Okay. He wants all that media attention. All right. But also it's not him. Esau's the one that tells him what to do, man. Okay. Because he's paying him billions of dollars. Okay. You see? So that, this is a conversation that's being had throughout, all summer. Okay. Keeping the people distracted, interested. Okay. How the next season is going to be, etc., etc. Okay, someone on the comment board also mentioned the churches are also a part of that bread and circus, whole thing, man. Okay, the churches, keeping the people asleep. Okay, pushing on certain doctrines. All right, keeping you asleep from, what the truth is. All right, you see? And so that's what you're seeing here, man. That's what you're seeing. It's a bread and circus. And when you look into the different, the Colosseums, okay, it's built the exact same way as your modern day, football arena, man, or your basketball arena, man. It's the same thing, okay? And you got a lot of fans, you got a lot of diehard fans who again, don't know anything, okay, but everything about their so-called favorite player, man, okay? And that favorite player of theirs has no idea who the hell this nigga is, you see? Again, these people are fanatics, man. They are, diehards. They have no idea about anything that's important, really, okay, than, what it is, that their favorite player, enjoys doing. LeBron, golf. What the fuck? You see? That's what's happening here, man. Okay? And again, this is what Esau, Edom wants, really, while he's pushing certain sanctions and decrees. Here in Canada recently, Bill C9 was just, made official. Okay? Things that truly, impact the people. All right? Is being passed while you're, tuned in watching the World Cup. And, the halftime shows with, freaking, that nigga, I Show Speed, a YouTuber, man. You see, who has millions and millions of fans. And Esau will use him, okay, to sway a lot of people, man. Okay. Esau will use people like that, man. Majority of these, the younger, generation, they're distracted wholeheartedly, man. All right. So again, this is just another, a strategy. All right. And this is what was used, okay, during the Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, here's another video.
Have you ever heard the phrase panem et circenses? It means bread and circuses, and it's one of the most famous sayings from ancient Rome. This phrase comes from the Roman poet Juvenal. In his satirical works, he criticized how Roman leaders used food and entertainment to distract citizens from political issues. Imagine this: the government provides free bread and stages grand gladiator games. The people are happy, but they stop questioning corruption, inequality, or the empire's direction. Juvenal saw this as a dangerous way to keep the public under control. But panem et circenses isn't just about ancient Rome. Today we use it to describe situations where governments or corporations prioritize distractions over solving real problems. So next time you see a flashy event or free perks aimed at keeping people content, think of this phrase: are you being entertained or distracted?
And that's true, because even, at some of these, basketball games, the NBA, when a team, would reach a certain points, let's say 100 points, everybody gets a free tacos or something, and the people go crazy at that. It's the exact same thing as you just heard here, man. Okay, this is what the Romans were doing back then, giving them a free food, all right, entertainment, keeping you happy, and it's only things that are what, temporary, man. Okay, while there's a bigger issue that's happening globally, okay, you see. And so ultimately the scriptures say, okay, for we are not ignorant, okay, of his devices. Let's get that precept, okay, of his devices. Okay, verse 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. Let's get that. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay, and this is one of his major devices that he uses to keep the people distracted, man. Okay, in the NLT, so that Satan will not outsmart us. Okay, you see, because we look into everything, man. Okay, and there's a lot of correlations, a lot of similarities, okay, between those great, okay, the great empires of the past as compared to today. They're doing the exact same thing, and this is why the scripture said that there's no new thing under the sun. Okay, and I remember the elder Yashawamba, okay, the beloved elder Yashawamba went into how not only are people reincarnated, but also kingdoms, okay, and certain things within that kingdom, different, systems that were put in place, laws, etc. These things are also brought back, okay. They're brought back because it's the same people that are in power, really, when you think about it, man. Okay? You see, it's the same people in power coming back doing the exact same thing. Okay? And so the people are constantly, when there's uproars, etc., this is how you do it, man. Because people don't care about, the long-term effects. They're only, they only care about, temporary gains, monetary, and temporary gains, man. Something that is only just to last you, a day or two. Okay, but they don't know that these people are, again, passing laws that will impact your generations down the line, man. Okay, so again, so that Satan will not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes, man. Okay, this is very familiar. Okay, because these are the same people again coming back doing the exact same thing, man. Okay, these are different evil schemes. Okay, and again, as you tuned in, what was all over my social media. I was on Instagram this morning, and goddamn, all I see is LeBron, to the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, goddamn. Okay, all over YouTube. That's the main topic right now. Okay, you see, because these things, they keep you distracted, they keep the people entertained. Okay, looking forward to something, what's gonna happen next in a few months or so on and so forth in terms of the sports world. Okay, as compared to actually tuning into what the hell is happening between Iran and America right now, man. Okay, Iran, Israel, and America. You see, what's more important? All right. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that out. Lord Yahweh Bashim willing that it was edifying. Until next time, Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Barakatah.